thank you.
All right, Steve-O's, finish with the copy.
I'm from Jersey. Are you from Jersey? And we're back!
Before I begin, would you like to touch my monkey? Touch him! Love him! Leave him on Abspeaking!
Carol!
Hey, girlfriend! Why does everybody think it's a homo game?
Because I'm not that strong.
What are you doing here, Devin?
Sometimes when I get nervous, I stick my fingers under my arms, and then I smell them like that.
And I live in a van down by the river.
I sorry I can't help you, but I told you before. Chicken make lousy hubcaps.
That's very wise, canteen boy.
You like the juice, eh?
Dilly.
Sorry.
Now get off the shed! Get off the shed! Get off the damn shed!
And we're back!
Did I get a juice?
I wonder if the sound of my bottle will come across there.
No, because it's a bottle and not a can. First fucking podcast? Cans make sounds.
Why are you yelling at me?
Oh, well, I'm trying to make sure the mic picks me
I
up.
drove 20 minutes to get here, and you're yelling at me.
Because I want to see some goddamn Muppets. That's what I want to see.
Before we start the Muppets, I have a question to pose to you that is Saturday Night Live related. Sort of. It was, who was it? Oh, by the way, this is Saturday Night Jive.
Welcome to Saturday Night Jive. We talk about Saturday Night Live and Saturday Night Live related movies.
But you remember what was her fucking name? Ashley Simpson. That was the one that got caught lip syncing, right?
Yeah.
I don't watch SNL necessarily, but YouTube sometimes recommends me shit, and it recommended me what's her name? Sabrina Carpenter. You know that song?
Yeah.
I guess she was on the Jake Gyllenhaal episode.
She was on Girl Meets World. That's how I know her.
Of course, that's how you know her. But anyway, I watched the Sabrina Carpenter singing Espresso, her song, on SNL. There's no way she's not fucking lip-syncing that shit.
I feel like they all lip-sync a little bit.
Why isn't she getting shit for Ashley Simpson? I mean, I'm not defending Ashley Simpson, but I just feel like that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, well, I think it was just the gaffe that happened, because they played the wrong song, and then she started fucking just doing a little hoedown jig. So it was a funny live moment. But no, I think every single artist, at least half of them, use backing tracks.
But her backing track is the song. Like, she doesn't have any, like, lift in her voice in that song.
Well, and then a lot of times with that dance music shit, like, you know, well, like with her songs, she sings, like, the verse and the chorus, so she sings the whole thing. So, yeah, she's probably singing along to, like, kind of a karaoke track, I suppose.
I don't know. It just bothered me because I actually went back and listened to some Ashley Simpson songs, and she was kind of in my wheelhouse. I dismissed her at the time, but she was kind of like an Avril Lavigne pop punk kind of thing. I'm kind of into it. I'm just saying.
Say so.
And
I know the 5 seconds of the song she played on SNL before they booed her off stage.
I just wish that Sabrina Carpenter wouldn't be getting a pass for the same shit.
Oh, she can get a pass from me. Where's Farkas's album, by the way? When does Farkas become a pop star?
Who the fuck is Farkas?
You ever watch Girl Meets World?
Oh, is that the kid with the glasses?
Farkas was the new Minkus. He's actually Minkus' son.
Oh,
Minkus makes a cameo.
I was thinking,
I'm Farkas' dad.
Had you said Minkus, I would have known. But Farkas, I didn't watch Girl Meets World. I watched Boy Meets World.
I unfortunately watched all of Girl Meets World. Nothing to show for it. Except Farkas.
And one other thing about Sabrina Carpenter, I don't know if you noticed this, if you watched her perform this Espresso song live. Espresso in the song is a reference to the fact that she keeps you up all night thinking about her because she's so sexy, right? But in the dance routine that she's come up with, and I was obsessed with this, so I watched like multiple versions of it. She does a thing. She wipes her crotch and then holds up her hand in the shape of a cup of espresso. The implication being that it's not. It's dirty, is what I'm saying. The thing in the espresso is, you know.
Yeah, no, I think she's a dirty little girl.
I didn't know that. This is a song like fucking Dell's singing it. Fucking old ladies are singing it.
I couldn't tell you anything about pop music.
I just think our culture's going to hell and we need to re-elect Trump. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, on that note, let's watch some Muppets. So we're here. This is And We're Back, our award-winning segment where we dive deep into a SNL recurring character. This is one of the most reviled, I think, recurring characters the show's ever had by audiences and the show itself. We're watching The Land of Gorch.
Which I've been suggesting this for years, and I feel like every time your no got even more vehement, and then all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, I'm up for Land of Gorch.
Well, I think that was before I was very against it, before we started the How Low Can You Man Go subsection, where we can decide to call it quits if we don't want to watch any more of this shit. Because Land of Gorch, the thing with Land of Gorch is there's 15 of them, so we got 15 sketches that aren't good.
What did you say the edit was, an hour and 20 minutes?
It was an hour and 11 minutes, all of them combined. And they're not good. The audiences didn't like them. The SNL cast and crew hated them. But it's interesting. And the reason I think this would be a good one for our recurring character study is this is one of the ones that kind of ends beautifully. Like, it's got a nice ending, which most recurring characters don't have. They just kind of have one last sketch, you know?
Well, you say that as if we're almost all but certain that we're not going to get to the ending.
We might. I don't know. The thing with The Land of Gorch is they're not funny. They're not cute.
So they're like half of SNL sketches.
Yeah, they're like disturbing and unfunny, but like still impressive because it's Jim Henson puppetry, so it's kind of interesting to watch on that angle. But when you're watching a late night sketch comedy show, and then you got 5 minutes of Muppets making weed jokes, you're like, what the fuck is this?
See, and Jim Henson, especially fantasy Jim Henson, is like my favorite genre. I love like the Dark Crystal and the Labyrinth and all that shit.
So I think you actually might get something out of this.
Every time I see Land of Gorch characters, I'm like, that's my fucking thing. Why am I not watching that?
Yeah, no, it's impressive puppetry. But, a little history with this. So when SNL first started, the first Land of Gorch segment is in episode 1, season 1.
Wow.
Jim Henson's Muppets were just part of the show. And that, they didn't really know what they were doing. It was going to be, all right, we'll have musical acts, we'll have stand-ups, we'll have some sketches, we'll have some fake commercials, we'll have, some fucking Muppets. Why not? Albert Brooks will make some movies. It'll be a hodgepodge of shit. And so Jim Henson's Muppets were on the first season. There was some kind of Writers Guild rule where Jim Henson and his crew couldn't write for the segments. They weren't allowed to write for the show. So SNL writers were tasked to write for the Muppets, and they hated it. And you can feel the disdain real quick in some of these segments.
That's interesting. I guess because they probably would have had to pay them as like they put them on the writing team. I guess.
Think that was it. I think you had to be on SNL's payroll to officially write a sketch. They put these, you drew the short straw in the writer's room, you're writing for the Muppets this week.
Yeah, I've heard that it was a punishment,
yeah.
That if you fucked something up, they made you write a Land of Gorch sketch.
You fucked up last week, you're writing the fucking Muppets
Why didn't they call me? I mean, I wasn't born yet, but I would have written that shit.
Get Ben on the phone, we gotta put some words in this puppet's mouth. So I think, there's really no other explanation except it's Muppets on SNL. And it's weird, so do you just want to jump into the first one?
Sure. Well, do you have any lore that you remember? Or?
Not really. I mean, I've seen all of these. The interesting thing about them is you can really tell that the writing staff hated them as it goes on.
Do they have continuity between the sketches?
A little bit. Yeah, because it's all the same characters.
Okay, but it's not like an episodic, serialized...
No.
thing.
But it does have a really nice, beautiful end. So I think if we do get 5 or 6 into these, and then you're like, this fucking sucks, we might just jump to we could skip the middle, I think. But I definitely want to watch the last 2.
I mean, I feel like we can't, even though we've established this whole How Low Can You Man Go thing, I feel like 6 is sort of the magic number of if we give up before 6, we're fucking shitty.
Yeah, no, that would make us look bad to the podcast audience.
So I'm at least getting to 5.
All right.
Maybe the last
so
one.
our first Land of Gorch segment comes from season 1, episode 1, hosted by George Carlin, and this is Jim Henson's Muppets in the Land of Gorch.
Come with us now from the bubbling carpets to the sulphurous wasteland, from the rotting forest to the stagnant mudflats.
From the bubbling tar pits to the sulphurous wasteland, from the rotting forest to the stagnant mud flats, this land was made for me, and me only, because I am Ploobis, king of all I survey. Scred? Scred!
Yes, oh high, supreme mucky muck, sir.
Scred, I'm hungry.
Ah, what would please your flatulence?
Food! See, I'm hungry. When I'm hungry, I get a headache. And when I get a headache, I get,
Furious?
No!
Angry?
No!
Cranky?
No!
Peevish?
No!
Hurt?
No!
Mildly annoyed?
That's it!
Oh, thank you, sire.
I get mildly annoyed when I don't have food.
I'll see to it immediately, your grossness.
And we're back. So, thoughts on the first Land of Gorch segment?
Is it wrong that I'm fascinated by how little was done in terms of establishing the lore of the Land of Gorch? You set up this world, this expansive world, these characters. I don't know what they are. Like when you watch The Dark Crystal, there's a whole big thing at the beginning. It's like, oh, there was the Skeksis and the whatever, and there you know what's going on. You know, like I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
No, I don't think anybody did. It's weird. I remember, as a kid, I was a big SNL fan, staying up late and then watching Comedy Central reruns. But the era of the show I was least familiar with was the first 5 years because they just didn't rerun those on Comedy Central. Except there was one time where, no, it wasn't. I think it was just some special presentation there, like tonight on NBC, we're airing the first episode of SNL. Maybe it was like the 15th anniversary special or something. And I was really excited because I was like, oh, pre-internet, I couldn't just download the shit, watch it, and go, oh, this sucks. I was like, okay, I gotta stay up till 11:30 to watch fucking George Carlin host SNL, my favorite show. And the fucking Muppets are on it? This is crazy. And then I watched this, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
It's like, because why not just make them like regular human, like Muppets, but like, working in a general store or anything, like arbitrary,
They could be like writers on the show, or they could be working backstage or something. That might be fun.
I mean, why create this entire milieu of the Land of Gorch just to have these characters prattle on about nothing, and they just happen to be weird monsters?
Yeah, well, the only thing I can assume is Jim Henson brought the set, Jim Henson brought the puppets, and then the writers were like, alright, I guess we'll write some bad fucking puns? I don't know, like, what are these puppets doing on the show?
I mean, when you say that they weren't allowed to write, and the staff had to write these sketches, that kind of explains everything, because it's like, the passion was all on the Jim Henson side, and he probably had like a whole book written of like the history of the Land of Gorch and all these characters and things, and like his ideas of what he would do, and then he gives them to like Al Franken. He's like, I don't know, what if she can't release her darts?
Yeah, let's get into what this is. We are introduced to all of our characters here. We do meet King Ploobis' son at one point, but other than that, I think these are all the characters we're going to get. King Ploobis, he's hungry, and he's pining for food, and then he calls on his assistant, Scred, who is the most annoying Muppet that's ever been created. This high-pitched screeching thing. Scred's like, oh, I'll get you some food, but then Queen Puuta comes in and says, I can't release my darts.
Oh, Ploobis, I don't know what my problem is. I'm just not in the swing of things. You see, I'm having tremendous difficulty releasing my darts.
Releasing your darts? Ugh. What should I do about that?
Well, go to the mighty Fabog. He's the only one who can relieve my pain.
And that's what she was saying, right? Darts?
Yes, I'm assuming it's like, well, it's 1975, we can't say I can't take a shit on TV, so I think maybe the Queen is constipated.
Yeah, I was thinking darts was farts.
Yeah. So she goes up to Ploobis and says, I can't release my darts. Ploobis is like, oh, what are we going to do about that? Then randomly this fucking sexy wench comes in, gives King Ploobis a thing of chicken, and then they make out. So we get fucking Muppets making out with each other.
Look, I've always said there needs to be more big-titted Muppets.
I mean, not for nothing, this Muppet's got some fucking cans on her. I'd take a swing at it. But then they go to the mighty Vosh, And they ask for his advice about how to release the Queen's darts. They pay him 2 chickens, and his advice is, things could be worse. And that's it. There's, like, no comedy, really. Like, what they're saying is just banal shit. But the puppetry is fucking amazing. King Ploobis has 2 arms, and his mouth, do you understand that Jim Henson is underneath there? Jim Henson only has 2 hands, right? We can agree on that?
He's a normal human man, right?
Yeah. So how is King Ploobis having his mouth move and both of his arms strangling Scred? That's incredible.
How do you say that? How did they do that? I guess there has to be a second person in the thing.
There has to be. Well, I mean, the Muppets did that with, like, Ralph. Ralph plays the piano. So they would do that shit a lot. But yeah, it's incredible. On live television, you have Muppets strangling each other, fucking each other, beating each other up. Like, it's impressive puppetry, but for absolutely nothing of anything.
Because that's what I kept thinking, too, was... I mean, I guess the idea that it's live puppetry... Did they have any film segments this early on?
Oh, yeah. Albert Brooks was their filmmaker.
Because, like, I was thinking, like, why didn't they just film this and air it then? But I guess having the live puppets is the draw.
I think that's the gimmick of it, yeah. And this was pre-Muppet Show, so I don't even know where Jim Henson's Muppets were at this point. Because this is pre-Muppet Show, pre-Muppet movie. I guess that was the whole thing. It was just like, it wasn't Jim Henson's Muppets. It was just like, oh, we have puppets.
And I understand the impetus for that. To be like, we're a variety show. We're just going to get as much weird, different shit as possible.
Yeah.
We might as well have a Muppet segment or a puppet segment. It's just, if you don't care about it, don't do it.
Yeah, no, you would want there to be some kind of reason for these puppets to exist, other than, it reminds me of, and this is just personal to me, but when I was a freshman in high school, we were tasked to do a Renaissance fair. That was like our assignment, and I was tasked to do the puppet show, and I had 2 puppets, and I just fucking threw some shit together last minute, because I was a fucking freshman, I didn't know how to make puppets, but it was basically Punch and Judy, 2 puppets punching each other. And that's what it's just like, you know, you got puppets, and it doesn't matter what they say, puppets are fun, you know? And when I was doing that puppet show, as shitty as it was, and as unrehearsed as it was, there were like 3 or 4 kids who just sat and watched the whole thing, like, wide-eyed. It was just fucking puppets are moving.
Because they didn't know that there was a person there. They just believed that the puppets were real.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen to the stoned guy watching TV Saturday night at 11:30. Like, late. This is late in the show. This is like 12:05. And that guy's like, fucking puppets, man. And they're trying to... I guess that's the thing, too. They're trying to be a little edgy with the sex. And then we'll get into drugs. There weren't any drugs in that, but we'll get drugs later.
Well, is the banality the point? Is it the idea that it's this high fantasy thing, but they're just talking about bullshit? Like, is the lack of lore kind of like the joke?
Well, it's hard to pinpoint what the point of it is when it's 2 competing ideas. You got Jim Henson and his fucking, Star Child idea fucking puppets, and then you got a guy making fucking $300 a week going, fuck, what's this puppet gonna say?
The disappointing thing for me so far, I've only watched one of these, obviously, but, like, I was fine with it, like, the prospect of it not being funny, as long as it was, like, interesting as a fantasy piece, but they don't even try. Like, it's not...
Nah, it ain't good. If you're looking for that, that's not what this is.
That was my hope, and now that hope has been dashed.
Well, let's see if things change, because the next week, episode 2, Paul Simon hosts... one of the worst, not actually one of the most atypical episodes of SNL.
Wait a minute, episode 2. How many episodes were this season? Was this every fucking episode of the first season?
I think there were 22 episodes of season 1, and the Muppets are in 14 of them.
Oh, okay.
But they're in like they're in the first 11. The first 11 episodes of SNL had a Land of Gorch segment. Then they went on a little break. Then they came back, and then when they came back I think they knew the Muppets were only going to be season 1, so I think they brought them back just to give them a kind of a goodbye from the show.
All right.
But this is, so Paul Simon hosts episode 2. Again, the show is still finding its way. They don't know what it is. There's a cold open in this where Chevy falls down, but it's mostly just a Paul Simon concert. I think maybe there's only one sketch in this whole episode. But there's also the Muppets. They made sure the Muppets were canon. Sketch comedy wasn't part of SNL lore right off the bat, but the fucking Land of Gorch was.
That is crazy. Yeah.
All right, well, here we are. The second appearance of Land of Gorch from Season 1, Episode 2.
Listen, Favog, Gorch is broke. We can't pay our bills and we need your help.
It's gonna cost ya.
But we're broke. I mean, I got nothing to sacrifice.
Well, what about your friend there?
Well, he's got nothing either.
That's right.
No, I mean, I'll take him.
Oh, no. No, not old Scred.
Come on.
Oh, no, if I go, who will torture the birds?
Right in there.
No, not old Scred.
He don't go down easy.
Listen, Favog. Now, how can you help Gorch?
Gorch is better off already.
Well, how come?
You got one less mouth to feed.
Oh, yeah.
And we're back, and at least that was short.
These have titles, individual episode titles, suggesting a story.
What did they have title? Because Dregs and Vestiges was on the first one, I noticed.
Oh, was it?
And
okay,
I
thought that was the title of this episode.
No, I never really noticed that until now. It's the Land of Gorch, but it starts with the title card Dregs and Vestiges. I wonder if that was left over from like a previous draft or something.
Do you remember a cartoon we watched as kids that we were just flabbergasted by how horrible it was? It was called The Brothers Grunt.
I do remember that. It was on after Beavis and Butthead.
I don't know why, but this is giving me Brothers Grunt vibes. Like, I'm getting the same kind of ick from this that I did from that.
Yeah, it's unappealing. Like, it's not... There's nothing appealing about this. There's nothing fun. It's not interesting at all. In this one, King Ploobis is going over his fucking bills. Because that's fun to see a puppet do, pay his bills. And then he's like, oh, we're on the... brink of default. And Scred comes in and goes,
Now we're on the brink of scam land.
And that's a hilarious joke. And then they go straight to the mighty Vosh. We don't get any Queen Puuta this one. They go straight to Vosh, who's like, oh, I can help you. And he's like, oh, but I don't got no payment, because last time they paid with chickens. And he's like, well, what about your friend there? And so they throw Scred down the hole, and he's like, well, there's your solution to your problem. Now you got one less mouth to feed. So it's a little bit of a joke, and I appreciated that it got in and out real quick, but still, it's like, for what? All this work? Because again, fantastic puppetry.
You know, it's just like, part of it is like, I guess this was more novel at the time. Like, this feels like a bad Adult Swim premise. Crazy fantasy setting, but they're talking about their bills or doing, like, it seems like, you know, a spin-off of fucking Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I wonder if that was the thing. If, like, yeah, if Jim Henson had these puppets and he's like, yeah, this is going to be some fucking weird-ass next-level shit. And then the writers are like, I don't know, what if he's paying his bills? Because that's all they know how to write. And they're like, I don't know where fucking Scred comes from. What's his backstory? I don't know.
I mean, why not just hire one of the Jim Henson writers to be your token Jim Henson guy in the writer's room? And then you don't have to punish your staff. You could just... That guy writes the Land of Gorch every week.
You know what? Just say, hey, write this one under the table, Jimmy.
Yeah, or just ignore the fucking... Who gives a shit about that role?
Just say, Al Franken, okay, you say you wrote it. And Al Franken's like, okay, I wrote it. No, you didn't. That would have been fine. But again, I marvel at the puppetry of this. I mean, when Scred realizes that he's about to go down the mighty Vosh's toilet hole or whatever he's holding.
It's a fucking toilet.
Yeah, his eyes open up, so, like, that's cool. And then they have a cool angle of Scred going down the hole, which they had to set up so, like, you didn't see all the like, just camera switching. Because if they did this in a one-shot, they're putting Scred down the hole. That's whatever. But then they cut to an overhead shot of Scred going down the hole, but you're not seeing anybody's hands or anything.
No, he's like a weird snake monster, it looks like, but that's cool.
So they had to time that out, which only leads me to believe that Jim Henson and company got the script for this week's Land of Gorch, and they're like, all right, well, this sucks, but at least let's make it creative.
You know, that's an interesting aspect of this I didn't think about. The push and pull of one side caring a lot and the other side not caring at all. And, like, if they're fighting each other through this, like, if Jim Henson's like, I'm going to make this the weirdest, coolest thing it can be to defy how shitty the writing is.
That's all I really get out of these is, wow, it's impressive that they were able to pull this off. Because even at the end of the sketch, it pans out, and we get to see, like, the whole Land of Gorch set. But again, we're not seeing Jim Henson down there. Like, they're never breaking the illusion. King Ploobis and Scred and Mighty Favog, like, I don't even consider, I don't think of them as puppets. They're just characters in this.
And they talk about that. That's sort of the magic of Jim Henson, is that, like, when people talk to, like, Elmo, they talk to Elmo. They don't talk to, well, nobody talks to Kevin Clash anymore. But whoever took over for Kevin Clash.
Yeah, and that's always been a Muppet thing. Like, I've never thought of Kermit the Frog as something sitting on some dude's hand. Kermit the Frog has just always been Kermit the Frog and always will be Kermit the Frog. There's just a magic in Muppets. But they have to say something at least interesting for me to give a fuck about.
Well, because it's also kind of interesting in hindsight to think of, like, this is pre-Muppet Show. The Muppet Show kind of had a similar bent, where it's like the meta-ness of the Muppet Show was like they were doing a job. They were putting on a show, but, like, sometimes you would cut to Kermit the Frog going, like, we can't pay the bills this week.
Yeah, Kermit the Frog's an actor on the Muppet Show.
So, like, this is kind of a weird, like, in the DNA of that a little bit, I feel like.
Well, we do break the fourth wall eventually with the Land of Gorch. So we do see them outside of this static set, I think, once they come back. So we have to sit through, like, 4 or 5 more just punny, shitty ones before we get anything remotely interesting. And without anything else to say about that one?
Well, no, but you were right. Dregs and Vestiges is apparently just the title of all of these.
Yeah, and I never noticed that until now. But yeah, Dregs and Vestiges. But they're billed online, and I've never heard them referred to as Dregs and Vestiges. But episode 3, we get another one. This one hosted by Rob Reiner. And, of course, none of the hosts are in these. These are all kind of standalone things. But you ready for number 3?
I mean, I suppose.
Here we go.
Ploobis! Do you know what your son, Whis, is doing?
What, has he locked himself in the bathroom with a magazine again?
No. Your son, Whis, is smoking craters.
No.
Yes.
Not my son. Well, my son is he's a
craterhead.
A craterhead. No, he is not. My son is not a craterhead.
Yes, he is. Go look for yourself.
All right, I will.
On top of Old Smoky.
Hey, didn't I ever tell you not to smoke that stuff?
Hey, man, wow, your aura's really red.
Your aura's gonna be black and blue in a minute, fella.
Hey, lighten up, Jack, lighten up.
Listen, all the evidence is not in, Buster. That stuff there rots your brain.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
And we're back. So now they're getting high, man.
And your reference point for these was like, oh, it's a bunch of puppets making weed jokes. I feel like you only watched the first 3 of these. Like, that was your conception?
No, I remembered this one. I think they talk about smoking weed in another one. I mean, that's a lot of what SNL was back in this day. It was like, hey, man, let's get one past the squares.
Well, we did get a new Gorchian this time.
Yes, Wiz, King Ploobis' son. The premise of this is King Ploobis is upset because his son's been smoking craters and he's a craterhead. And I think maybe it's because I've seen all of these before, and I think this is either 1 or only 2 appearances of Wiz. But I think he's my favorite. I like this stone little Muppet.
Well, I like that they actually have smoke he's got like an elephant trunk, and he's got smoke coming out of the elephant trunk when he's vaping himself.
Again, impressive. Yeah, he's been smoking craters. King Ploobis goes to talk to him. Hey, stop that. What up, man? And then he gets Scred all high. And then they go to the fucking Mighty Favage again, who, man, I just watched this. I can't remember. How did it end?
They gave him some chickens, and he said the answer's blowing in the wind.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck? And then Scred's like, I got the munchies. Let's go get some cookies. All this was. This is the 3rd episode. And already the writers are like, I don't know, what if they're just smoking weed? Or I'm smoking weed? What if the fucking Muppets are smoking weed?
You talked about, like, watching this for the spite of it all, like, the feeling their disdain. This is the first one where I really feel it. Like, it's literally, like, I feel like they're... I don't know, I feel like Jim Henson, to his own devices, wouldn't have had his Gorch character smoking weed?
I don't know. Well, again, I don't... Yeah, because has there ever been any, like, other than the Happy Time Murders, but that was that post-Jim Henson, was there ever any sex in the Muppets? I can't recall one. Even, like, the offshoots, like the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth.
Well,
I mean, you got David Bowie's fucking codpiece dick swinging at you in 3D the whole film, but I don't remember any of the Muppets getting down and dirty.
Well, I think the rock collar fucked that little squirrel that rides the dog. But no, I think because I know Jim Henson. Well, I don't know about Jim Henson, but the Jim Henson Company has had like an adult, like not porn, but like a thing for stuff for adults, like the show Farscape. Did you ever watch that?
Right. Okay.
That was Jim Henson did all the puppet work for that, and there was a big thing they got hired for that. Like we just don't want it to be like the Muppets. We want to prove that we can be dark and so there's always been that thread, but I don't know if that was around in the 70s.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to like. I posed the question earlier. Who were the Muppets in 1975? I have no idea what they were, because I'm only familiar with the Muppets from the Muppets, like Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy.
Well, the only thing I know of Jim Henson prior to the Muppets, he did a TV movie called The Cube. Did you ever hear that?
Nah.
It was in like 68 or 69, I think. And it's like a weird experimental one-man show that they aired on TV. And it's like a guy trapped in a cube room. He can't get out. Like all these other people keep coming in and like just freaking him out. And it's like a weird kind of like absurdist piece. It's really interesting. It's all on YouTube. You can check it out. I believe it's called either Cube or The Cube.
And it's with puppets?
No, that's the thing. It's all live action actors, but it's like the set is like a weird puppety set where like doors will open on the ceiling and shit. And that's the only thing I can think of him pre-Muppets.
Yeah, because I always heard, and I think maybe it was just from this SNL stuff, that the Muppets were always intended to be for adults. Well, I mean, the Muppets were in prime time, too.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were it wasn't Saturday morning cartoons shit until Muppet Babies.
No, and I mean, the show was all about the backstage, like behind the scenes shit of a show.
And you have like Peter Sellers on there. Like, it's not for kids.
No.
No 6-year-olds like, oh, the guy from Being There?
And I think the Muppets themselves have always had a push and pull with that. Like, they had the original Muppet Show, then they had Muppets Tonight, which was TGIF, contemporary of Boy Meets World.
I remember I watched Muppets Tonight right after Boy Meets World every Friday night.
So that was sort of geared towards a younger audience. But then, like, most recently, they did that one that was like The Office, where they did, like, the interviews in front of the camera.
It passed me by.
Yeah, it was Disney Plus or Hulu or whatever they were on at the time. But it was clearly like trying to do The Office, but with the Muppets, and so they kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's because Sesame Street's for kids, but that's all different Muppets. So yeah, I think there's a separation between the adult Muppets smoking grass or craters, I guess, releasing their darts and smoking craters. What do you think the censor thought of that? Oh, well, I guess I can't say release darts.
I feel like if there was a censor, he wasn't watching SNL this late. He was going to bed before the Land of Gorch came.
I don't know. There's always SNL lore fighting with the censors. But I guess, you could smoke craters, I guess, and get fucking high on craters.
Because craters doesn't sound like pot to me. Craters sounds like cocaine or, crack.
It sounds worse. I was thinking more wholesome. Anything else about that one?
This is 2 episodes without the big titty Land of Gorch lady.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll see her in Season 1, Episode 4, hosted by Candice Bergen. Some call this the first official episode of Saturday Night Live, because it's one of the first ones that actually feels like an SNL episode.
I thought this was one of the historically bad ones, like what the people call kind of shitty.
I can't remember. I know I've seen it, can't remember. There's 2 Candice Bergen episodes from Season 1. One I remember not like. Actually, I didn't like either of them. But yeah, no, I've always heard this considered the first official episode of SNL, because you got the cold open monologue, commercial sketches,
And of course, a Land of Gorch sketch, like every SNL episode needs
to this day. How Colin Jost will be throwing to fucking King Ploobis in season 49.
I love when Colin Jost and King Ploobis trade racist jokes with each other.
I wouldn't mind seeing King Ploobis. As much as I complain about Weekend Update, if fucking King Ploobis was doing Weekend Update, I think I'd sit through that fucking segment.
Do you think they could get away with bringing the Land of Gorch back now? Not like for a season, but like a sketch. Just do it and not mention it, not like reference it.
It's season 50 coming up. They gotta, right? The audience has been clamoring for it. It's been 49 years of Gorch-free SNL.
That would be cool to do it like they've been living in the SNL studio in 30 Rock the whole time, and they just come back like, yeah, we've always been here.
A little bit of a spoiler for the end of the Land of Gorch. Alright, so this is from episode 4, hosted by Candice Bergen, yet another Land of Gorch.
This is the mighty Favad. Talk to me.
Almighty Favad!
Don't shout.
Almighty Favad.
That's nice.
I got a problem.
Business, sports, or personal?
Scred.
Ecological, oh grand polluter.
It's ecological.
It's gonna cost you 2 chickens and a glig.
Pam, Scred.
Oh, yeah. 2 chickens! Get in there, you little guys.
Mm-hmm. And 1 glig.
Oh, we don't have a glig. Let's see. Oh, look!
Oh, there.
Emotional little devil. Alright, what's your problem?
Well, the problem is this. You see, we only have 2 gligs. And only
Sire. 2 gligs. 1 glig.
And we're back, and I think that was a huge waste of everybody's time.
You know, if there was ever a subtitle for this podcast, a huge waste of everybody's time.
I feel like that's accurate. Okay, so I got nothing to say about that except what it was about. They're down to their last 2 gligs, so they go to the mighty Favage, ask him for his advice, and he's like, it'll cost you 2 chickens and a glig. So they find a glig, they put the glig in the toilet bowl, and then they're like, oh, we only got 2 gligs. Actually, now we only got 1 glig. So the mighty Favage is like, oh, take your glig back. And then they take the glig back, and then that's the end.
And a glig is basically a chicken. And they're like, gligs are going extinct. But we still got chickens. Well, what the fuck give a shit about gligs for?
Well, because I guess they make so many things out of glig. We do get a lot of backstory on the economics of Gorch.
You know,
they're on the brink of default. Their major export, I think, is gligs, because Queen Puuta is decked out in glig shoes with a glig handbag.
I mean, for what it's worth, the ecological message is salient. It's basically like they're where we were with the buffalo. And
yeah, no, when you're down to your last 2 gligs, I think if we've learned anything, it's when you're down to your last 2 gligs, don't throw 1 glig in a toilet bowl.
Yeah, you want to make your gligs fuck.
Yeah. As he does, he says, "Be fruitful and multiply," and but there was nothing even like, at least in all of these, there's been one thing where I'm like, "Huh, how do they do that?" Like in the last one, it was the smoke coming out of the puppet's mouth. I was like, "Huh, how do they do that?" And then you see King Ploobis choking Scred. How do they fucking do that? In this one, there was none of that. It was just a stagnant 2-shot of puppets walking around, and it was the same set. They have a problem. They go to the mighty Favag. The mighty Favag tells a fucking pun.
Honestly, though, the way the glig moved when they put it in the thing...
it was cute.
But also, just like, again, how did... Because I don't think there was anybody's hand in it, it didn't seem like.
No, I think they were like... Well, yeah, I guess that was kind of... Right? They were controlling a puppet with a puppet. Because King Ploobis has the glig in his hand, and I guess he's shaking the glig to make it look like it's still moving and it's still alive.
And I think it's got something in its eyes that are making its eyes move independent.
Yeah. So I guess, alright, that was impressive. It didn't make that much of an impression on me.
You know what would make these sketches eminently better for me? Is if Don Pardo voiced the mighty Favage.
Well, I mean, I would love that. I do love that Don Pardo sets all these sketches up. But I think Frank Oz as the mighty Favag is like the only thing that has going for it. Because that is such a terrible ending to all these. What should we do? I don't know, let's go to the mighty Favage. And then the mighty Favage says something stupid. If it didn't have Frank Oz's like, hey, what's going on voice, that's the only thing that I have to latch onto.
And you know what? Now that we're 4 sketches into this, say what you will about the You Like It a Juice guys. Which, did we even say You Like It a Juice at the beginning of this?
Yeah, we said You Like It a Juice.
Alright. I don't think we did. I think people are freaking out. Is this even the podcast?
I'll never not say You Like It a Juice.
But say what you will about the You Like It a Juice sketch. It starts out with you just asking if you like the juice. In the second sketch, they're meeting the fucking Greek gods.
That's true. There was some growth with those characters.
It goes places. This fucking... I mean, it's a fantasy world, and I'm so not interested in it.
I know. I mean, I want to know what milk the Gorkon means, but that's it.
Okay, did you get the same... Because he tells the sexy big booby Muppet.
Yeah, we do get a return from the sexy Muppet this time.
And he says, go milk the... What was it? Milk the...
He's like, go milk the Gorkon.
The Gorkon. And she's like, again? I thought that was like a Gorkon is like a dick.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the joke is, because Puuta interrupts them making out. King Ploobis is obviously having an affair with Vosh. And Queen Puuta comes in and catches him, and he's like, hey, why don't you go milk the Gorkon? Which I thought was a double entendre until she said... And then she said, what, again? But it's got to be something that Puuta would know, right? It couldn't be like, hey, why don't you go fucking jerk me off? And then Queen Puda's like, oh, I don't know what that means. Like, it would have to be like an actual thing you'd have to milk, right?
I mean, if we're applying any sense of logical consistency to these fucking Land of Gorch Muppets, sure, I guess.
You can't make a pun out of milk the Gorkon. Well, I don't know what any of this means.
I guess like jerk the gherkin.
Jerk the Gorkon. I thought it was just like, hey, go out of here, and I'm going to give you an excuse to keep my wife. You know.
Gorkon just sounds like what a person from the Land of Gorch would be.
I guess, but now we got gligs, and, we're smoking craters and shit. Like,
but I'm just thinking of the poor SNL writer coming up with this. Like, what are they fucking eating? Gligs, I guess.
But we've already established that they eat chickens. I don't know. Gligs is a different thing.
I mean, this is Glip, Glop, and Zorp. I don't fucking know.
I know, yeah. You get that feeling where they're like, I don't know, just fucking milk the Gorkon. Just, it's on the page. Fucking send it in. I don't care. They're puppets.
I have to write a sketch where Robert Blake meets up with all the old fucking kids from Morgue Gang or whatever the fuck it is.
In 8 years, I'm going to still be here writing fucking Robert Blake sketches. Now I'm milking the Gorkon.
I will say... all of these are better than that fucking Robert Blake sketch.
I will take a Land of Gorch over pretty much anything in the Robert Blake episode. Alright, well, you want to watch another one?
Let's watch another fucking
This is from episode 5. Yeah, no, we're going to get, like, increasingly less things to say about these, and I think these next 4, because...
Are we getting through all 4 of these? Goddamn.
Well, if memory serves me correct, I binge-watched this whole season, and I will say... watching all the Land of Gorches back-to-back is a more pleasurable experience than binge-watching all the SNL episodes and randomly getting a Land of Gorch. Like, especially if it's in these first couple episodes, which aren't that good. Like, SNL took a while to get its footing. And when you're watching these and you're like, well, this isn't that great. This isn't that great. And now I'm watching the mighty fucking Vosh again? Like, I don't want to watch... Like, it's worse when you get to the end of an episode in the fucking Land of Gorch.
So what you're saying is, we need a Land of Gorch movie.
I mean, I'm cool with watching an hour and 11 minutes of The Land of Gorch, but watching them interspersed in between 22 episodes was unpleasant. This was not a good thing. And speaking of not a good thing, here's the Robert Klein episode, Season 1, Episode 5.
What? No, stop there. Robert Klein hosted SNL?
Yeah, he was a stand-up. He hosted, I think, 3 times.
I know, but he wasn't, like, good or memorable or...
he had it. No, he was... I mean, he wasn't huge, but he was probably the Elaine Boozler of 1975.
I feel like I know him from, like, sitcoms in the 90s that he'd guest on, you know?
Yeah, no, but he was like one of those hip, college circuit comedians, and he was a good SNL host. I actually enjoyed all of his episodes. His episode from Season 3 is one of my personal favorites. But I can't recall what happens in the Land of Gorch from
I'm gonna guess
episode 5.
They have a problem and they go to the mighty Vosh to figure out how to solve it. But he doesn't actually solve it, he just says some bullshit.
Fuck. I think that's a good bet. I don't know, I'm betting on a fucking nuclear holocaust in this one. I think Scred accidentally pushes the button to release the glukins.
That would be... Did you ever watch Adventure Time?
No.
I never watched it because I don't have the patience for anything anymore. But apparently, like, that's the backstory. Like, it's a cartoon fantasy for kids, but, like, just in the background, they'll put, like, modern shit that's, like, old and decayed. And I guess the secret lore is that it's, like, a post-apocalyptic show.
No. Yeah,
I mean, if that happened here, if they fucking reveal the nuke and it's like Planet of the Apes, that'd be fucking awesome.
Nah, well, spoiler alert, that doesn't happen. What does happen? Well, let's watch.
I'm just going to spend the rest of the podcast talking about all the interesting things that won't happen.
Oh, it says here that migraine headaches are extremely painful.
I know.
No one knows. Let's see. Okay, take a needle right there. Take any needle at all. Yeah.
Take a needle?
Yeah. Now, let's see. The first needle should be placed in the upper snout. Just thrust it into the nose with a firm, steady pressure.
You do what?
Look, says right here, thrust it into the nose with a firm, steady pressure.
Well, if it says so in the book, I guess.
How does that feel? It looks great.
It hurts like hell.
Then move right along. Second needle. Take the second needle, sire.
Take a what?
Second needle. Second needle goes. Let's see, it's placed in the lower lip, just above the dermal carapace. That looks like in the picture. Yeah.
And we're back.
I want to state, in case it wasn't caught on the microphone, before that started, you said, I think I like this one.
I did remember liking it. I forgot that it had such a long opening before it got to the fun stuff of King Ploobis sticking needles into his face. And it has one of the weaker endings of any of... I mean, to pick the weakest ending of any of these is a fool's errand. But I was impressed by the puppetry. Again, the illusion never broke. This is King Ploobis sticking needles. This isn't Jim Henson underneath a cardboard set doing all this underneath there. These are real life things doing this.
I wonder if that was
incredible.
Like a specific challenge in this one to be like, well, I guess they're not real needles. I was like, are we going to jam needles into this thing that my hand is currently in?
Yeah, well, I mean, they had to be sharp enough to penetrate the felt, I guess. Or they probably... Well, no, I was going to say they might have had, like, preset holes in the puppets, but, like, that seems even harder. Because then you're trying to pinpoint accuracy.
There's no fucking way they could, yeah.
Couldn't have done that. So, yeah, no, it was impressive puppetry, but, again, all for naught. In this one, King Ploobis has a migraine. How are we going to solve it? Queen Puuta comes in and says, I'll sing for you, and that doesn't work. Vosh, the sexy one, comes out. I'll do a sexy dance for you. That doesn't work. It worked for me.
It worked for me. I mean, they made the Muppet titties bounce.
They did. There was a lot of jiggling on those Muppet tits.
That has to be, like, there's something special in those breasts. Like, that they had to... Because, like, if you just made those out of felt, they would not bounce like that.
No, I mean, Queen Puuta doesn't bounce like that.
No.
That's all Vosh underneath there, I think.
Look, I know we've been through it with Terry Gross.
Mary Gross?
Terry Gross. Who's
Terry Gross, the host of NPR's Fresh Air?
Mary Gross is, of course, who I meant. Star of Tremors. But I don't know. I mean, what you see in Mary Gross, I'm seeing in Vosh the Puppet.
I mean, if we were going to make a list of the top 5 sexiest ladies who's ever been on SNL, it would be Mary Gross and Vosh competing for the top spot, I think.
I definitely think so.
Yeah, but, like, when King Ploobis is shoving needles in his face because Scred has a homemade acupuncture kit, that's impressive. Was it fun to watch? No. But, like, in the back, I'm like, wow, this is cool that they're doing this. But, like, you know, what's that going to get you?
You know, maybe if this was, like, even darker. Maybe if it was, like, they're eating humans. Like, they're monsters, you know? Rather than, I don't know, something. I'm still... Because it's like 5 sketches in, I'm struggling to find the hook at all.
Yeah, no, if there's anything, it's just like the banality of the ruling this kingdom. Because I guess, like, there's that too. There's who lives in this kingdom? Who lives in Gorch other than these characters? It seems like it's just a wasteland. But Ploobis has named himself the king.
Well, plus all the milkable Gorkons.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, the only other things are animals. They never relate to... Well, and they do eat each other, because at one point, I think it's in the first or second one, he's eating like a leg, and he's like, this tastes familiar. Is it anybody I know? So they're also cannibals, I guess.
I want more, I just want more world building. I want more lore. I want more, justification for this being a thing.
Yeah, you want less just like, I don't know, I threw this together last night. Let's have a puppet do it.
Well, and if the juxtaposition between the banality of what they're doing versus the fantastical elements of who they are and what they are, if that is the thing, the draw for this, I feel like that can't have been intentional.
Yeah.
That has to just be... The SNL writers suck at writing for magical puppets.
Yeah, but what do you think it was intended to be, though? I mean, maybe it's possible it wasn't intended to be anything. It was just, they booked Jim Henson. They found out that he couldn't write, but they had him contract signed, so he had to have a little spot every week. But he had to have intended something. He didn't just whip these puppets together.
No, my assumption at this point is they said, hey, Jim Henson, we want to have a regular puppet segment on SNL, on this new thing, SNL. You can do whatever you want. And this is before they knew that they couldn't have him write. So he was like, okay, I'm going to craft this entire world. I'm going to create these characters. And then I'm going to come in with a fucking storyline. We're going to do this right. And then they find that out at the last minute. And they're like, okay, I guess, what if one of them has big tits and shakes them around?
It's a big way. It just ends up being a big waste of fucking airspace. Anything else about... Oh, and then the part I did laugh at was at the end. Before they go to the mighty Vosh, King Ploobis has all these needles in his face, and Scred's like, we should go get some advice. But from who? Queen Puuta? No. Oh, I know. Vosh! No. Oh, yeah, the mighty Vosh.
And I think it's weird to call it a physical performance, because it's still a Muppet, but like when King Ploobis has all the needles in him, and his like jaws stuck open, and it's a fun physical performance.
That's what I'm saying. And I've never seen Jim Henson's hand underneath King Ploobis. King Ploobis is just a character, and...
I thought he was voiced by Belushi at first. I didn't realize it was his voice.
No, he sounds a lot like Rolf.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely Jim Henson's voice for King Ploobis. But yeah, King Ploobis' performance is Emmy-worthy in this fifth Land of Gorch. But there's nothing at all to cling to for this. Like, it's entirely forgettable.
Okay, I see you opening episode 6. Are we agreed that we're going to keep going?
I'm still going. I'm still going for episode 6. In fact, yeah, no, this is one I think... I'm not going to go on record saying I like this one before I watch it. But for the SNL fans, I think this is everyone's favorite Land of Gorch segment.
That doesn't seem like a thing that exists.
I mean, favorite is a relative term when you're dealing with... You've seen 5 of them. It's not like they get...
This might be my limit. Number 6 might be it for me. It might be this and the last one.
Yeah, I think... Oh, yeah. I mean, if we want to tap out now, I think we can probably skip to the finale. Like I said, because it's just more of this. Like, there's no world building.
Well, I'll watch the best one that is your favorite one that you love, which is this next one coming up.
Yeah, no. This is the one I'm going to bat for. If you don't like this, then you don't like fucking Land of Gorch.
This is the thing that inspired you to want to be a creative person.
No, but people, not me. I did not say this. But other people have said, like, of the Land of Gorch segments, they all suck. This is the only one that's kind of worth anything. And this is from episode 6. So far, their streak has not been broken. They have been in every SNL episode. Of course, it's not SNL yet. It's NBC Saturday Night until midway through season 2.
Wait, really? I didn't even realize it had a different name.
Yeah, it wasn't always Saturday Night Live. Because, stupid SNL history. But Howard Cosell had a show on, I think, ABC called Saturday Night Live. So that name was already taken. So this was NBC Saturday Night. It was called the Saturday Night Show. But then Howard Cosell show got canceled, so they just took the name. And there you go. So from episode 6, Lily Tomlin, who's actually in this one, in the 6th installment of the Land of Gorch.
Oh, there you go.
I want you to understand that it's it's difficult. I mean, not that I don't like you a lot, but it's difficult for a woman in my position.
Yes.
Well, to have my name linked romantically with a puppet.
Oh, hey, that's no problem. Yeah, I feel the same way.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, we should keep it light, easy.
Well, thank you. They say we're young and we don't know. We won't find out till we grow.
Yeah, but I don't know if all that's true, 'cause you got me, and baby, I got you. Babe. I got you, babe. I got you, babe.
And we're back, and what do you think about that? The quintessential Land of Gorch.
So what do you think Scred's dick is shaped like?
Oh, only Lily Tomlin knows for sure. Okay, so to set that one up, it's just, Scred's missing. King Ploobis and Queen Puuta can't find Scred anywhere. So they go into his room and they find a headshot of Lily Tomlin, this week's host of NBC's Saturday Night, as well as a love letter. And then we cut to the monologue set where Lily Tomlin and Scred are having a little romantic talk. But she says, I can't be romantically linked to a puppet. So they just sing Sonny and Cher's I Got You, Babe.
Well, that is interesting to me that they are now, at least according to the meta of SNL, they're canonically puppets.
Yeah, and I think that's why people think this one's at least interesting, because it gets them off the set and also links them with the show. Like, the first 5 we've watched, that could, if I didn't tell you that was on Saturday Night Live, I would just be like, oh, this is just the Land of Gorch. It was a show in the 70s, let's watch it. But this actually links it with the show, so, you got the host, and it's cute. It's not funny or interesting to watch Lily Tomlin sing with a puppet, but it's kind of a precursor to the Muppet Show. Like, that would be something you would see on the Muppet Show.
Well, and it's interesting also to think of, what do you think the writers had against Lily Tomlin? They were like, this is the one where we're going to put Lily Tomlin in one of these.
I think she comes off well. I don't think this, I think it's cute. She sings, I Got You, Babe, with a puppet.
No, it's fine.
It's at least something. We don't see the fucking mighty Vosh make a pun at the end, so...
Part of it is, it's the salt in the wound of, I came into this wanting a fantasy world, and they went out of their way to not give me one, and now they're they're not even fucking monsters, they're puppets. They're, in the world of the thing, they're puppets.
Yeah, and we'll see that, we'll see that as it goes on, they become less and less, the Land of Gorch, and more this is the Muppet segment of the show. And the show kind of makes reference to and this is where the Muppets come.
But if you're going to do that, just make them, nondescript puppets.
Yeah, and I think that's where they made their mistake. They should have had just Jim Henson's Muppets running around the show, use them as interstitials,
One or the other. Either have the Muppets just being Muppets, or have a weird fantasy story.
Yeah, have them set up, or introduce them musical acts or something, or do something in between sketches to bridge the sketches together with the Muppets. I think that was, a gold mine that they, kind of squandered. They didn't give a shit. They wanted to make sketch comedy show, and they were forcibly, contractually obligated to have the Muppets on every week. But, it was, again, I thought it was cute. And like we were talking earlier, when someone's singing to Kermit the Frog, you're never seeing someone singing to somebody's hand. You're seeing someone singing to Kermit the Frog. In this one, Lily and Tomlin are playfully whispering in each other's ears, and I believed it. I believed Lily Tomlin was hanging out with Scred.
No. Lily Tomlin absolutely fucked that Muppet. But
you could just feel the chemistry between them.
That was a post-coital Sonny and Cher cover.
Anything? There's not much to say about that. It's kind of sets up the Muppets as we would come to know them. That's kind of what I expect every episode of the Muppet Show to be. I haven't watched every episode of the Muppet Show. When I was a kid, they broadcasted on Nickelodeon, and I watched a bunch of them. But
they cut out all the insertion. But other than that, I think it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, but I just imagine that's you got fucking Raquel Welch on the Muppet Show. She's gonna sing a love ballad to Kermit the Frog. And it's not going to be funny. It's not going to be anything more than that. It's just the Muppets have their own variety show, and sometimes you sing on a variety show.
Now, I have to ask, because I wasn't paying attention when you were clicking, did you click on the next episode or the last episode?
Well, I was going to ask, because actually what I need to do right now is take a pee break before we do anything else. But then I was going to ask if you wanted to keep going, or if, because I remember these enough that I can describe them to you. Maybe, no.
I mean, look, because it's up to you. Because at this point, I'm like, let's go to the last one. But I feel like we've established a rule that we both kind of have to agree. So if you're up for another one,
well, I'm looking at this one from the next episode, the Richard Pryor episode. It looks like Scred has a drinking problem, and King Ploobis and Scred are drinking together, and then they go to the Mighty Vosh. So I don't need to watch that.
I think I'm good.
Okay, so I'll sum up from skimming through the Richard Pryor episode. It's there's no fourth wall breaks, it's just Land of Gorch. Let's move over to episode 8, hosted by Candice Bergen again.
I don't even need the recap. I feel like we could just assume these episodes exist.
Well, I think this is one where Candice Bergen, they sing with the Muppets. Yeah. Okay, and this one is kind of interesting. We don't have to watch it. But it's kind of interesting because this establishes the Muppets as their own segment of the show. And this is the Christmas episode, so all the Land of Gorchians are holding a Christmas party, but they weren't invited to the SNL party, and the SNL party is going on concurrently. But then Candice Bergen shows up at the end, and they sing, like, Silver Bells or something.
So is this, I wonder if, that's like a reference to the fact that the SNL writers are now just writing in the fact that they hate them.
Yeah, this is kind of where it starts. So we're at episode 8, and this is kind of where you can really feel like, oh no, the show does not want this fucking Muppets thing in the middle of it. And then episode 9, hosted by Elliot Gould. I think this is just another rando Land of Gorch. Let's see what we got. And they're pushing him in the back half here. Could not tell you what happens in this, but it ends with the Mighty Vosh. So again, I'm not interested in watching this.
You know what I will say?
But I want to get to the last couple.
I don't know where you are on this, but watching these does kind of make me want to watch just like marathon the first season of SNL.
I mean, it was interesting because you get to see kind of the humble beginnings, and it doesn't feel like SNL. It feels like something completely different. So it was fun on that angle. Like, you kind of never know what to expect.
But I think, I don't know, maybe, like, when I'm in the mood to watch an SNL episode, I might just go from season 1 and just pitch that we watch those.
Maybe pick and choose. So.
First off, it's my fucking pick when it's my pick, so you can't fucking say shit.
Oh, I mean, if you wanted to watch the George Carlin episode or something, I'd be fine with that. I do remember in this Elliot Gould episode of The Land of Gorch, we established that King Scred and Queen Ploobis, or Queen Puuta, are having an affair. So Scred's fucking around, and I think in this one, he has like a test of conscience, and he goes to tell King Ploobis, but then he chickens out. I think that's the course of this, and then he goes to the Mighty Vosh, gives him shitty advice. Any interested in watching it, though?
No, why you kept it on in the background, I have no idea.
Well, I wanted to kind of remember what it was about. Let's move over to episode 10, hosted by Buck Henry, one of my favorite SNL hosts.
This really? After fucking Uncle...
Uncle Roy was
Uncle
standing.
Roy?
I'm still cool on this. This one might be fun. No. In this one, okay, and this one continues with the lore. This has no King Ploobis. This is Scred and Queen Puuta kind of consummating their love from their affair, and they pull out this sex toy that they use on each other, and that's the basis of this.
Okay.
Do you want to watch Scred and Queen Puuta go at it with a sex toy?
I mean, only to the point where I don't believe you, and I think you're just watching the imagery go by and like trying to guess what's happening in these sketches.
I didn't watch this yesterday. I could have it wrong, but I'm pretty sure Scred and Queen Puuta get down in this one.
I mean, again, I don't want to test it by watching it, but that can't be true.
Well, hold on. Let's just watch a little bit of it here.
Yeah, it's working. It's starting to work. Oh, your mutualness. Oh, your togetherness. Wow, that was something else.
You thought I was lying.
Okay, we just watched two fucking Muppets fuck, And I'm officially done. I don't...
You don't want to watch it anymore? Alright.
Well, my one question, did Chevy Chase ever interact with the Land of Gorch Muppets?
No, not officially. But there is one that I didn't include in this, where it was, the Muppets weren't on the show for like 2 episodes, and then they came back, they weren't there, but the host, I think it was Diane Cannon, or Joe Clayburgh, I can't remember. Some lady was like, oh, and there's no Muppets, but we do have this. And it was Chevy Chase doing hand puppets with no puppets together, just his hands. And he was acting out a puppet show.
Alright, I don't know. Being able to see Chevy Chase's disdain for the Land of Gorch on the actual screen would have been fun.
Yeah, but no, in this Buck Henry episode, Scred and Puuta are fucking getting down. Scred found a little sex toy, and he's using it on Puuta. Doesn't know how to use it, though, so he hits her in the face with it. But then he figures it out, and they go down behind that crater, and you see some fucking Muppet feathers coming up.
Yeah, I don't want to do this anymore.
Alright, well, I do want to watch, like I said, the last 2, because we do need to get to the conclusion of these Muppets, because it comes to a kind of satisfying.
I'm interested, based on you saying that, I'm interested in seeing the finale.
Yes, there's closure, at least. So
I am not interested in watching, 4 other sketches to get there.
Alright, well, hold on, I'll cut this out, but I'm going to take a peek right. Gilda and Scred introducing the musical guest.
Okay, we're back.
Anthony Perkins, Raquel Welch. Okay.
I'm not gonna play around with the kayfabe that we've been here the whole time. George had to take a piss.
I did. Alright, so...
And we're back now.
We're back, but is this cheating?
Well, I'm just gonna talk about, because I don't want to watch this fucking thing you're playing. But we're into, which episode is this? Episode 5, 6,
This is
7?
episode 11.
Well, 11, but the 7th or whatever these. And he's dressed in it's Scred, and he's dressed in the fucking bee. The bee was already fucking dumb and arbitrary when it was 2 guys dressed as bees, and now the fucking Scred Muppet is dressed as a bee?
I get the bees to a point, and then I don't get the bee thing.
I hate the bees.
But in the first season, that must have latched on with audiences, or it was an inside joke with the crew or something. But, we're gonna skip, episode 11, hosted by Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. Scred makes an appearance, but he just talks to Gilda before they introduce, who's this guy? Neil Sedaka. Neil Sedaka plays a little song. You want to hear a little Neil Sedaka?
I do not.
See, SNL was hip, man.
I mean, it's no Fishbone, I'll tell you that. But no, it's just like the gall of these SNL writers to be like, this Land of Gorch is corny and silly. I don't want to write for this. I want to write a fucking 5th Bumblebee sketch.
Well, see, the thing with the bees, though, is...
that it sucks ass?
No, well, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There are some of the bee sketches are my favorite sketches of SNL history.
Fuck you.
Because those are the times where they got, meta with it, and they would break the 4th wall. And the first time they did the bees was hilarious. No, actually, the first time they did the bees was abysmal. It's in the first episode. But then they brought the bees back as the killer bees with Elliot Gould. And that's a hilarious sketch, because it ends up with the sketch breaking apart, and then Lauren has to come in, and I'm not going to explain it to you. It's fucking funny.
So it's basically the ending to the Second You Like It a Jew sketch.
Pretty much. But that was the first time they did it, though. So you gotta give them a little credit.
Maybe that's why I hate the bees so much. I guess, are they technically the first SNL recurring characters?
Yeah, because they're in the first episode, and then I think and then they show up in the second episode. Yeah.
So yeah, I fucking hate recurring characters.
But they're not really recurring. To describe the bees, I would need much more time than I'm willing to give. But
well, the next end we're back, the bees.
I wouldn't say no to it.
I will say no to that.
All right, but now we're getting into the last 4 Muppet appearances. These are where we're getting towards the end of the season. You can tell the Muppets are on the way out, and we're kind of getting a little meta with it. And this next Muppet sketch, it's not really even a sketch. It's just kind of a Muppets apology. Comes from the Anthony Perkins episode 16. This is when they'd taken a break from the Muppets. So the last one was episode 11. Then there were a couple episodes with no Muppets. And then randomly, they just show back up. I think because the show was like, we'll give them a little closure. Like, we won't let the Muppets just disappear. we'll bring them back, and we'll have a little fun with them on the way out.
All right, are we actually watching this? Are you pressing play on this fucking thing?
I'm going to push play on it. This is the Muppets from Anthony Perkins.
We've been gone for a little while. We were over in England, doing a show over there, and we came back, and they destroyed our gorge.
What's your gorge?
Our gorge, our land. It's our homeland. That's our scenery. They just burned it to death.
Oh, no.
Yes, they did.
And we don't even have a dressing room anymore. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of bees out there playing blackjack.
Well, listen, you're supposed to be the star of the show. Now, tell me, what are you going to do about this, huh?
Yeah, I'm the star of this show.
Yeah.
I'm only doing the show this week. I'm not here every week. I'm not the right person to talk to about this thing.
See, I told you.
Well, who should we talk to then?
Wait a second. We're right in the middle of the show now. This is the show. You see those red lights? This is the show. Why don't you guys, wait a second, go out into the hall and wait for me, and I'll try to fix this up for you, and I'll get back to you in a minute.
No. See, you don't understand. We're big stars.
I do understand.
Oh, yeah. No. We get to do our thing. You're going to introduce us. We get to do a big thing.
Oh, yeah, they write letters in about us and everything.
Oh, yeah.
We got to do the show. Where's our spot?
Listen, I understand about your spot, but, that's show business. The same thing happens to everybody sooner or later. Look at me. 4 weeks ago, I was on Broadway in Equus. Now they've got me swallowing flies on late-night TV.
And we're back.
I feel like we were committed to being done, and then you just tricked me into watching a whole other freaking Land of Gorch sketch.
I told you I wanted to watch the last couple. Because here's how the Land of Gorch... We got the Land of Gorch, which was totally separate from the show. And then we start getting a little Muppet integration into Saturday Night Live. This Anthony Perkins episode has a runner where the Muppets keep coming up and they're like, hey, they took away our set. We were just gone for like a couple episodes. We don't have no Gorch set. What are we doing? And Anthony Perkins is like, hey, well, just go in my dressing room and we'll figure something out for you. Later on in the episode, the end of a sketch, Scred's sitting there and he's like, hey, what about Muppets on the show tonight? And he's like, oh, yeah, go back to my dressing room. But then at the very end of the show, it's the good nights. The Muppets come out and they're like, hey, what about us? And they're like, oh, yeah, go ahead and do it now. And then they talk during the opening or end credits, but you can't hear them because the theme's playing. So this is kind of our first glimpse of... They all hate the Muppets. Nobody wants the fucking Muppets here.
No, I get that, but I'm getting to the point where I hate the Muppets too.
Oh, yeah, you will.
And
that's not a surprise.
But it's, yeah... I get it. Well, they say they burned the set down. I wonder if that's actually true. I wonder if they were like,
don't think you
fuck these Muppets, get rid of this. And then they were like, oh shit, we still got like 5 more contracted.
That's what I'm wondering, because the Muppets were gone. So the last Muppet appearance was episode 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, no Muppets. 16, all of a sudden Muppets again. Where the fuck they come from? So I think maybe that was a little bit true. I don't know, though.
Because that's the other thing is, like, to do a thing like this on SNL, you have to have a dedicated set that you keep up,
Right.
That you don't strike, which, that would be crazy. I guess other than Weekend Update, that would be crazy to do today. You would never have that.
Right. So I'm wondering, my theory is, they thought they were done with the Muppets. But then maybe there was like, oh shit, no, there's 4 more episodes in this contract. The Muppets have to be on the show. You have to find a place for them. But they were already done with it. They put the shit in storage, and then they're like, well, why don't you play with Anthony Perkins? And if there's anything cool about this, it's this is really the precursor for the Muppets. The Muppet Show. This is what the Muppet Show is. The Muppets come in and hey, Tony Perkins, what's going on? We're breaking the fourth wall here and breaking the reality. We're pretending that we're doing a show here in the middle of a show.
Which, I wonder if Henson ever talked about that before he died. Like, this was any kind of inspiration for that. Like if they kind of like the SNL writers found the format for him.
Maybe by accident, because when seeing the only cool thing about this is again that talking to Elmo when you're not talking to the puppeteer thing. We're seeing Anthony Perkins make direct eye contact with Scred and Ploobis as if he's just sharing the stage with actors.
Oh, I'm just curious. Did you see Longlegs?
No.
Oh, it's Anthony Perkins' son directed
Anthony
it.
Perkins?
His son directed it. Osgood Perkins.
I was going to say I thought he was gay, but you can have a son and be gay.
Yeah, you can. Fucking worst movie of the goddamn year. It sucks so much.
What's
fucking
Anthony
ass.
Perkins' son's name?
Osgood?
Osgood Perkins?
Yes.
All right. No, I didn't. Like I said, I didn't know he had a song.
I thought he was a Land of Gorchian.
I thought he was out milking the Gorkon. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was a big old Gorkon milker.
But anyway, don't see that. It's a piece of shit.
And you could probably stay away from the Land of Gorch, which we're almost done, because we got 3 more appearances of the Land of Gorch. This next one is from the Raquel Welch episode.
Oh my god, we're really doing this. We're
really
going through each one.
I mean, Raquel Welch is a step up from Vosh in the looks department, I think.
Says you.
But this is kind of another rehash of what we just saw. It's basically the Muppets come in and interrupt Raquel Welch. Let's watch it.
Gee, I wonder why they wouldn't let us in the studio.
I don't know. Probably the guard just didn't recognize us.
Oh, that's very strange. Because they all know and love us. Everybody loves the Muppets. Listen, Scred. We're lovable. Never forget that, Scred.
You're so affectionate,
We just have to find somebody and ask them where we come in the show.
Chief, you're somebody now.
Well, hi there. You're the Muppets, aren't you?
Oh, yes. It is indeed us.
Oh, I've always thought you people were so lovable.
You hear that, Scred? That's true, lady, yeah. We're known far and wide for being lovable.
Chief, that lady is Raquel Welch.
Oh, yeah, well... yeah, you sure are Raquel Welch. All over, aren't you?
Feels like Raquel Welch, too.
Careful.
We Muppets are very, very lovable. I mean, matter of fact, until you've made it with a Muppet,
wait a minute.
You know what I'm saying.
Wait a minute, lover. Are you talking about making love to me? because you guys are just puppets, right? I mean, you don't even exist below the waist. I mean, all you are is just the top half of a person, right?
Yeah, but...
Well... So that kind of makes you just a lot of talk, all talk, right?
Well, I'm pretty good with my hands.
I've noticed.
And we're back. Anything to say about that?
Everything to say about that. One, I found it interesting. Raquel Welch hosted a few episodes after Dudley Moore and what's-his-face?
Dudley Moore and Peter Cook.
Peter Cook. When was this in relation to the Devil movie?
Bedazzled.
Bedazzled, because all 3 of them are in it.
Like 10 years after.
Oh, that's just weird that they were all on the same season of SNL.
But yeah, there's nothing much to say about that except Raquel Welch just talks to the Muppets, and again the Muppets are like, "Oh, what's going on? Why we weren't allowed to build them? They wouldn't let us in." And then they go talk to Raquel Welch, same kind of thing as Anthony Perkins. They're just, playful banter between human and puppet.
Don't diminish this. This was a sketch where puppets, for the first time in their existence, attempt to conceive of their lack of genitals.
Well, a couple things. Because Ploobis and Scred are aggressively hitting on Raquel Welch. As one would. I mean, even when I watched Chairman of the Board, I just about jumped into my TV screen. But Raquel tells them, well, wait, you just have bodies. You don't have anything from the waist down, right? But she can see what's down there. So what's she seeing? Just an empty void? We're still not making reference that they're... I guess we're making reference that they're puppets, but not that there's a person in there. I wonder if that was a Jim Henson thing, where he's like, you can never make any reference to the actual person inside of this.
Well, I just think, because we talk about breaking the fourth wall, and I've always thought of that as a moment in a meta sitcom, where they actually literally look at the fourth wall and why do we keep... What's over there? There's nothing over there. And you cut to a wall. That's the idea of they're looking at their penises for the first time. It's like an Adam and Eve kind of thing.
Yeah. And then Chevy Chase comes out and says, "Oh, you guys aren't on the show," and he asks Raquel Welch to take her top off, which, if memory serves me correct, was a running gag that pays off at the good nights when she finally does take her top off, but she's wearing a chroma key shirt, so there's the battle hymn of the Republic going on instead of her actual breasts.
No, it totally makes sense that it wasn't just Chevy Chase being an asshole and telling Raquel Welch to take her top off. It was a running gag that she had to fucking go through.
I mean, Raquel Welch, she was the sexy lady back in the 70s.
Written by executive producer Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, I mean, was she a good actress? I don't know. I can't say I've seen any Raquel Welch movies other than Chairman of the Board, and I did not think she was Oscar caliber in that.
I mean, I've always wanted to see Myra Breckenridge. I've never seen it.
I've never seen that either, but that sounds like a good watch. Got Mae West, Groucho Marx.
Do you want to watch it next week for the podcast?
Let's watch Myra Breckenridge. I believe someone gets raped with a broom handle in that.
No, I think, well, maybe, but I know that has a strap-on dildo scene.
Maybe that's what I'm
That's very famous.
Alright, but we're nearing the end. This is pretty much the final Muppet sketch. This is from the same episode hosted by Raquel Welch. And this is when we get some closure on the Muppets. They make one more appearance in the season premiere of season 2, but this is our last... if this was the last time we ever saw the Muppets on SNL, I think it would qualify as a fitting ending. So are you ready to wrap this puppy up?
Is this the ending you're referring to?
Yes.
So we're not watching the one from season 2?
Oh, we can.
But that's not the ending you're referring to?
No, this is the ending I'm referring to.
Okay. Well, okay, then go.
This is the final.
They burned our scenery. We're no longer booked on the show, and they said we're puppets, and that we don't even have a lower half. Well, what do we do?
Don't look down.
This is terrible. Our world is coming to an end.
You want your God's advice?
No, please, please, oh, please.
Don't beg. My advice is, forget it.
Huh?
Forget it? No. What do you mean, forget it?
I mean, forget it. Pack it in. Quit.
Oh, no.
We can't do that.
Sure you can. Listen, you're only puppets. You're not even real. You just get put away in the trunk.
Scred, I can't handle this, Scred.
Almighty Favog. Where's the trunk?
It's right over there.
Oh, no, not the trunk, anything but the trunk.
It don't hurt to get in the trunk. Puppets don't have feelings.
Do you believe this is really happening? I can't. Scred, I can't believe this.
And we're back.
And you're right. You were right. It does get more fascinating. Now it's like a puppet existential crisis.
It's bittersweet and hauntingly beautiful, in my opinion. Because after they've pawed Raquel Welch, later on in the episode, they're just walking around backstage. They meet the mighty Favog. He's backstage. He's covered in cobwebs. And he's just like, no, you're puppets. You don't have feelings. Nobody cares about you. This is like, yeah, we just found out today we don't even have bottom halves. They just realized that about themselves. That wasn't like, oh, hey, yeah, no, we can totally fuck Raquel Welch. They thought that. They, along with me.
Well, because
they thought they were real people.
We know they're capable of fucking. They fucked each other.
Right, but we've never seen them fuck a human.
No.
But they're forced because the mighty Favage goes, well, you know what happens when they don't want you on the show anymore? You gotta get in the fucking trunk. And then they open up the trunk and there's Queen Puuta in there. He's like, I haven't seen you since November. And she's like, yeah, what are you doing? I was waiting for you to open. He's like, no, we're getting in the trunk with you. We're puppets, we don't breathe, we don't have fucking feelings, we just live in the trunk now. And they just get in the trunk to live out the rest of their eternity.
Yeah, I guess they're probably still alive down there.
Yeah, it's like the end of Dinosaurs,
Little bit, yeah.
Just like a haunting ending. They're like, oh, well, no, you thought we were just having fun with puppets. No, these are actually, you hated these things for a whole season. You were like, every time the fucking Land of Gorch showed up, you were like, oh my god, I hate this fucking segment. And now we're refined to thinking like, oh, well, if you hated them so much, we'll put them in a trunk and they'll just stay there.
Yeah,
it's sad. It's
it is.
melancholic.
I'm kind of bummed out.
But I liked that as I was binge watching this season. Because I fucking hate it. Every time the fucking Muppets showed up, I was like, fuck this. I don't want to watch it. Especially if it was like a bad episode and I'm near the end of a bad episode. I'm like, fucking 5 minutes of this shit. But then at the end, I'm like, well, fuck, at least they closed it out.
I was thinking, because like I've pitched this a couple times on the podcast. Like I think they should do like an SNL movie that's like literally like a crossover of like a bunch of like any SNL recurring characters they can get.
Yeah.
I think the structure of that movie is they're on the set of SNL, and sort of like Five Nights at Freddy's, the Land of Gorch characters come out of the trunk and like get their revenge.
And then they look at a rack of costumes of like, oh yeah, that's where the church lady outfit is. That's where Rich Meister's shirt and tie is. And then all of a sudden, Rob Schneider fills the shirt, and he's the Rich Meister.
Well, I think at this point you'd have to do it animated because a lot of them are dead or old. So like, Rob Schneider can't play the Rich Meister today.
Says you.
Dana Carvey's pretty much as old as the church lady at this point.
Last time Dana Carvey played the church lady, it was one of them weird like person melding with their characters, or it's like, wow, you don't even need makeup anymore, Dana Carvey. You just kind of aged into an old lady.
But I'm fascinated with just the idea that just the idea that the puppets are fucking each other and wanting to fuck humans. Like that's, I never thought I'd see that in a Jim Henson produced thing.
No, I think that was the SNL writers trying to bring a little edge to it. Like, what do we do with these Muppets? They could fuck and they could smoke weed, I think that was their hook. They were like, okay, well, we're doing puppets, but we're going to do adult puppets, and they're going to fucking fuck, man.
I feel like this is why I will never get hired as a writer on SNL, because the only thing I'm pitching is, we're going to bring back the Land of Gorch, right?
I think it's time, like I said. Alright, well, to close it out, we have one final appearance from the Muppets on SNL. Proper, they've, of course, Kermit and Fozzie and some Muppets have cameoed on SNL in the years. Jeff Bridges sang with, I think, Cookie Monster in his monologue. But this is the last time Jim Henson's Muppets properly appeared on SNL. Also hosted by Lily Tomlin, Season 2, Episode 1. They kind of give the Muppets a send-off. And I think this was just to basically promote the Muppet Show, which was starting this season as well.
Oh, that's interesting. Was it, so that, because I don't even remember, that was, I guess, in NBC as well?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure.
In my memory, I thought it was ABC, but maybe not.
Well, I know because it was ABC because Disney bought the Muppets and Disney bought ABC. But the original Muppet Show, I have no fucking idea. But I think they were doing the Muppets a favor here. So, and also this won't leave us as sad, The Muppets, spoiler alert, they get out of the trunk in the season premiere. Here we go.
Boy, do I have to go to the bathroom. Feels like I've been in storage for months. Hey, what is this place, a morgue? Oh, wow, a morgue. Hey, boss! Hey, King Ploobis! Hey, Ploobis! What's going on? Puuta, did you know we've been dead for 3 months? What? How could that be? I was sure we were just on the air. Or was that a dream? No, that was a rerun. Hey, what's down there?
Puuta, is that you up there?
Yes!
Hold your breath.
It's you!
This is a resurrection. There is life after death, and we are living proof of it. Say hallelujah.
Hallelujah!
I think Scred fucked up a line. And we're back. Final appearance of the Muppets. It's a file cabinet. It's season 2. Scred pops his head out. We see Puuta. We see Ploobis. We see Wiz, the return of Wiz.
Still no Vosh.
No Vosh. We don't get an appearance of Vosh. The mighty Favage is under a dust cover. And they're like, oh, hey, we're back on the show. I guess we've been dead for the whole summer. Lily Tomlin comes out, and they whistle a happy tune. The only fun thing about this is seeing the Muppets attempt to whistle, including the mighty Favage.
Well, once again, we want to talk about the technical acumen of all of them in a filing cabinet.
Holy crap, yeah, because Scred's in one filing cabinet, and then the filing cabinet next to him pops out Puuta, but then the filing cabinet underneath Puuta pops out Ploobis. So that means, like, Jim Henson and fucking Jerry Nelson are just like, how the hell are they configured? And also, again, King Ploobis has 2 human arms. Maybe he only had 1 in this one. But he definitely had 1 because he ripped off Mighty Favage's dust cover. Okay, maybe he just had the one. But still, that's fucking... There's 4 human beings behind Lily Tomlin right now.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's crazy. But yeah, seeing the Mighty Vosh whistle was fun because his mouth doesn't quite move, so it looks like he's eating his face when he attempts to whistle. But yeah, I think this was just kind of hey, we're sorry we kind of did you dirty last season, Muppets. We'll give you one chance to promote the show. Although these Muppets aren't even going to be on here, so I don't know how... Because she's like, oh, I'm looking forward to the Muppet Show. And Scred's like, oh, we can't be on there. That's family entertainment. She's like, aren't you family entertainment? He's like, hell yeah, we are.
This actually kind of makes me sadder because it's like, the last one, it was at least an ending. It was a sad ending, but like, this is like, we're back and there's hope for the future, but we all know there isn't.
I know, it's weird that they brought them back just to say like, okay, we're never going to see you again, but hopefully this same kind of puppet technology will be good with other puppets that aren't you.
I wonder if this wouldn't exist, this last sketch, if not for the fact that it's Lily Tomlin. Either she asked for it because of the previous sketch, or it was apparent like that was the popular one where it was like, oh, Lily Tomlin's coming back. She's going to be with the Muppets again, right?
Yeah, I think it's either a mixture of a bunch of things or one specific thing. Either Lily Tomlin wanted to bring the Muppets back, someone on the show was like, well, yeah, let's pay an apology to Jim Henson just one time. Maybe it was contractual. Maybe they had one more on the contract they had to do. Maybe it was for the audience to explain why the Muppets won't no longer be on SNL. Or maybe it was just, hey, man, Jim Henson's like, hey, dude, the Muppet Show starts next week. Can we get a plug on SNL one time? Just before we premiere? Sure.
I wish, like, somebody today, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's hosting SNL, and he's like, yeah, I'll come on, but only on one condition. We bring back the Land of Gorch.
Wouldn't it be so much fun if fucking Sabrina Carpenter walked backstage after her song, opened up a file cabinet, and there's Wiz. Hey, man, whoa, that was some powerful crater, man. I feel like I've been in that box for 50 years.
I mean, I don't know. I think Sabrina Carpenter is too dirty, too filthy for the Land of Gorch.
Like, whoa, you're too fucking R-rated for us. You say fucking one of your songs. And that's it. Any final thoughts on the Land of Gorch?
I mean, again, we went into this with we always have that trigger that we can pull for how low can you mango? And we were like 5 or 6. And we're here at the end. And I know we skipped a couple in the middle.
Yeah, we skipped like 4.
But I still feel like I was chicked somehow.
Yeah. It's a long slog. I knew it was going to be. That's why I said for the longest time we would never do this, because I knew it's a long slog. These segments aren't that interesting, other than the fact that it's kind of interesting that this was on live television. And, like, it's an interesting idea for something on live television.
And I mean, not in this form, but, like, I wish that Jim Henson would have been able to do something like his original vision for the Land of Gorch, what I assume is his original vision for the Land of Gorch, as its own show, where you could have, like, storylines and characters and things. Like, to be able to do something, it doesn't even have to be this, but, like, something like this, like a proto Dark Crystal.
Yeah, like a Dark Crystal series.
On 70s TV. Yeah. That would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, that would have been real cool if we got, like, actual characters and through line, rather than going for jokes, because the jokes they go for in these... Yeah, did you laugh at all at any of this? I mean, I smiled at the... I was impressed by the puppetry. I smiled a couple times because of that. But none of the things they were saying...
No.
It's all white noise.
Yeah, none of it matters, yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, an interesting concept, an interesting part of SNL history, but not really something that's worth digging that much deeper into.
No, and I feel bad, because, like, this was my pick, and again, it's something I've been going, like, for a while, Land of Gorch. And now it feels like you're torturing me with the Land of Gorch.
Yeah, no, it's kind of what it felt like.
And then you get to pick another thing, which is going to be fucking even. It's going to be Uncle Roy Part 2 or some shit.
I was like, you want a fucking Land of Gorch? I'll give you fucking Land of Gorch. I'll give you an hour and 11 minutes of Land of Gorch.
I just feel like this is blown up in my face so fucking hard.
I know, you're like fucking Homer Simpson in the donut torture machine. Like, boop, boop, just getting Muppets shoved up your ass for eternity. Please, sir, can I have another one? Scred goes in there. I'll go next. But I didn't really have a plan. Is anything else? Because I was going to go over to next week.
Oh yeah, no, I've never been more done with a thing in my life than I am right now.
That was rough because there's so many of them, and since there's no world building, I mean, like, you know, when we talked about like fucking Mango had some things we could latch on.
It had variation, you know, it was interesting.
There's nothing. It's just like, oh, King Ploobis fucks this puppet in this one, and he fucks this puppet in the next one. But it is my pick for next week, and
oh, you're picking an episode?
We lost one of my faves.
Oh, that's right.
Recently, Bob Newhart recently passed, and that got me thinking. Bob Newhart hosted one of my favorite episodes of Saturday Night Live ever.
Yeah, so we're not going to be watching that. We're going to be watching all of his guest appearances on The Big Bang Theory.
No, Bob Newhart. This is season 20. This is your last hurrah, Farley Sandler. This is when the show was in the toilet.
I didn't realize it was that late. I assumed this was 80s.
No, he hosted in the 80s. But then he hosted again. I think this was like Bob.
I was going to say, this was either Bob or George and Leo.
Yeah, I think it was the Bob sitcom that he did, that he was promoting. But I also think it was just Norm Macdonald really wanted him to be there. Because you can see at the Good Nights, Norm Macdonald has a Bob Newhart album that he gets autographed. So I think maybe this was a special request, maybe. But it was...
I remember liking Bob, because I was a kid and they had like animated segments because he was a comic book artist.
Yeah, I will stand by every Bob Newhart sitcom.
I mean, we were both fans of George and Leo.
I loved that one.
Famously canceled. Well, I guess Bob was canceled after one season.
Yeah, him and Judd Hirsch in that one. But yeah, Bob Newhart show's classic. Newhart's classic. Bob,
I was never a big fan of Newhart.
It's a classic. And then Bob and George and Leo, short-lived, brilliant, but canceled. I think, yeah, maybe a season and a half for one of them. But
it's so weird. That's when I was talking about like the things we quote. His name was George Studi in the show. And at one point, he just has he's bragging, and he's the Studi style.
Studi style.
And I'm like, we would quote that. It's some fucking random Bob Newhart show from the 2000s.
But yeah, Bob Newhart hosted definitely my favorite episode of season 20. Yeah, the show was in the toilet. Halfway through, Bob Newhart randomly shows up to host. Brings a little bit of class to the proceedings, and it's a fucking great episode. So that was my pitch, because...
no, I mean, I'm up for it.
And I miss...
I mean, it's your pick. Do whatever you want.
I miss me some Bob Newhart. When he died, the first thing I thought of when he died was like, that fucking episode of SNL he hosted was pretty damn good.
I mean, the only idea I had was Goat Boy Part 2, so...
could do Goat Boy Part 2. I finally deleted Goat Boy, the video file. So
oh, really? Okay, I still have mine saved on there, and the off chance that we would do Goat Boy Part 2.
It might still exist on the Google Cloud.
I can send it to you if you want.
But alright, yeah, if you're cool with that. A little Bob Newhart hosting SNL. The second time he hosted, not the first one. First time he hosted a good episode too, but this one, Bob Newhart and musical guest Desiree. Do you remember Desiree?
Desiree. Was that Gonna Be
You gotta be bad,
yeah.
you gotta be bold,
yeah.
you gotta be wild.
I didn't mind that song.
So yeah, Bob Newhart hosting. We get some Chris Elliott. We get a Norm Macdonald Weekend Update. That's always classic. We get a Bob Newhart monologue, so a little stand-up comedy. And it's just, it's an episode, it's everything you'd want from a Bob Newhart episode, I think.
No, I'm totally, I mean, I'm a Bob Newhart fan. I've never seen this episode. Because yeah, the only Bob Newhart I remember seeing anything of was much older. So it must have been the first one he did.
Yeah, now he hosted twice. But Bob Newhart and Desiree next week.
Yeah, and the week after that, just to get back at you for this, the last 4 episodes of Wild Palms.
Are there only 5? I thought there were 6.
Oh, maybe there are. I thought there were just 5. I could be wrong.
Well, we gotta see what happens.
What's up with that rhino?
Oh yeah, the rhino. I don't remember anything about Wild Palms. Hologram Robert Loggia, hologram Brad Dourif.
Remember he tries to fuck hologram BB Newirth.
The hologram BB Newirth. Does Ernie Hudson die in the pilot?
At the very end, yeah. And he says something, whatever the thing, there's some catchphrase.
Like, this is only the beginning, or something like that, yeah. Man, do I not care anything about fucking any more Wild Palms.
My thing with Wild Palms is, like, you know, like you have, like, Lost didn't end well for a lot of people. I liked it, but a lot of people didn't like how it ended. And then Twin Peaks, you know, gets canceled before its time. Nobody likes the ending. I wonder, like, is Wild Palms gonna, like, bring it together at the end?
Is it gonna fucking clinch you like the Muppets did? in the Land of Gorch.
Yeah, just like the Land of Gorch. Are they gonna make me feel sad and somber?
Alright, so anything else about Jim Henson's Muppets?
No.
Anything we've seen today? Yeah, no, it's...
I mean, I still love the Muppets, not these Muppets, but the other... The fact that they're even calling them Muppets, because we talked about that, it's before the Muppet Show. What were the Muppets before this? Muppet is apparently a term that they are using, that we're assuming people will know what they are.
Well, they were always billed as Jim Henson's Muppets. And I must assume that maybe he had to have been on The Tonight Show or something, I have to imagine. Like,
well, I remember there's, because isn't there like a really shitty looking Kermit that was like a kid show presenter or something?
Yeah. So if he wasn't well known, he was at least well known enough to be on late night TV. You know, like, the first season of SNL had, Andy Kaufman and then just like random stand-up comedians, It was more like, people who were popular underground with the college stoners.
Yeah.
So someone knew who Jim Henson's Muppets were and put them on the show. Was it a good idea? In theory, yes. In execution, fuck no.
But no, check out The Cube, Jim Henson's weird TV movie. I'm fairly certain, at least it was on YouTube the last time I checked.
Oh, don't lose faith in Jim Henson. Jim Henson, if there's anything...
Farscape is one of my favorite shows of all time.
And if there's anything about these, I mean, I cannot fault any of the puppetry. The puppetry in all of this was just so tight,
Yeah.
Again, this is live television. You don't see an arm. And I love even how, like, sometimes they'll ad-lib a little bit. Like, there was one where, like, he's trying to grab the chicken, but it's caught on Vosh's net or something, and he's like, give it here, come on. So it's like
they're improv.
They're acting, they're improving, yeah. Well, and then when Raquel Welch, when she comes in and King Ploobis is like, hey, we're the Muppets, and then the audience applauds, because, they're like, hey, Muppets. King Ploobis, like, takes a moment, he looks out to the audience, and goes, oh, like, wasn't expecting that, and it's like, these fucking puppets are ad-libbing!
By the way, I just want
How
to
is
say,
this possible?
You're clinching the Ploobis impression.
I'm doing a pretty good Ploobis.
I forgot to bring that up. That is something I wanted to say. Considering how shallow the actual writing is for these, I kind of wish in retrospect that they would have just improv'd and see like what they could come up with. Just having a conversation between 2 or 3 puppets.
Yeah, it's almost like they seem constricted when they, in the first couple we watched in the Land of Gorch set, they're a little constricted by the writing. But when they showed up with Anthony Perkins and Raquel Welch and Lily Tomlin, and that's the fun stuff. And I think that's what they took when they made the Muppet Show. It's like, seeing, fucking Phyllis Diller interact with a Muppet is good
and
television.
Possibly fuck a Muppet.
Yeah. And then we always got it. Because you're always thinking that in the back of your head.
I've never thought of Phyllis Diller without a puppet dick in her mouth.
Didn't Charles Grodin want to fuck Miss Piggy? People are always wanting to fuck Miss Piggy.
Wait, are we talking about Charles Grodin on the show or in
Great Muppet
Caper?
No, in the Great Muppet Caper. Not in real life.
No, because I'm sure Charles Grodin probably was on the Muppet Show at some point.
He must have been, yeah. Maybe. I don't know. You would think, but then you would think no. Why would he be?
Weezer was on the Muppet Show at some point.
Charles Grodin had to have interacted with a Muppet at some point in his career. Okay, he did. He was in the Great Muppet Caper.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, I that's what I said. I didn't know which version of the interaction between Charles Grodin and Miss Piggy you were talking about. Because I assume he was also on the show.
He must have been. But yeah, he wanted to fuck Miss Piggy in that, didn't he?
I think so.
I think that it's been a while since I've seen
Or was he just using her to complete the heist? Because remember, he's the criminal in that.
Yeah. I mean, he at least feigns sexual attraction to Miss Piggy. I can't remember. But at the end, I think he's like, yeah, no.
I think he's like really in love with I
think I was into you, but I'm still a bad guy. But no, what we had was real. Yeah. As real as it can be. As we've established, these Muppets don't have genitalia.
I got nothing else.
What if they did, though?
Do you want to talk about Miss Piggy's vagina more?
No, I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be a better joke if Raquel Welch was like, yeah, you're just half people, and then you cut to King Ploobis' comically large Muppet dong, and he's like, how's this for a bottom half, huh?
This is what they call my Ploobis.
Now you get to finally milk the Gorkon.
And now we're all gonna milk the Gorkon.
Alright, so I guess until we see you again, keep milking that Gorkon. Get off the shit!
Can you picture that?